Hello everyone, and welcome back to Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. Now today we're going to look at the relationship between Prince Charles and his mom, Queen Elizabeth. It was said to have been a complicated relationship. According to Vanity Fair, Prince Charles was considered a loose cannon by his parents. He was romantic and sensitive, and they were straightforward and undemonstrative. So Queen Elizabeth wanted to have a bond with Charles. When he was born, November the 14th, 1948, Princess Elizabeth insisted that he be born in her room amongst the things I know, she said. She breastfed him for 2 months, and the baby slept in the room next door. I'm going to be the child's mother, not the nurse's. But things changed with the death of her father 4 years later, and then Princess Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth. The Queen was overwhelmed with responsibilities, but she managed to teach Charles horseback riding and would see him after breakfast and tea. The Queen was, to Charles, as he stated, a remote and glamorous figure who came to kiss you goodnight, smelling of lavender and dressed for dinner, Charles recalled. When his sister, Princess Anne, refused to leave their mother, he would drag her away, explaining, "Anne, you must not bother Mummy. She's busy. She's queening." When Elizabeth and Philip went to tour the Commonwealth for 6 months, Elizabeth cried. The Queen believed it was better to leave the children in the care of nannies rather than drag them around the world. She had been brought up in that style herself, after all, with her parents leaving her at home and entrusting her entire schooling to a governess and home tutors, he told Town and Country. Well, the two people that Charles had a loving bond with was his nanny and his grandmother. Prince Charles discovered when he wanted to cuddle, he only had to go to his nursery. He had a nanny named Mabel Anderson. For Prince Charles, who had already discovered that the only in the nursery could he always be assured of a cuddle, Mabel Anderson became a haven of security, the great haven to whom he invariably turned first for comfort and support. This is said by Jonathan Dembley, that wrote the book The Prince of Wales, a biography, in which Charles cooperated. And Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was the next person for whom he could turn to for affection. The Queen Mother, who Charles called the most magical grandmother you could ever possibly have, nurtured his love of arts and culture, taking him to performances and nursing him when he was sick and his parents were away. Town and Country, in their article in 2013, there was a private letter revealed that she had tried to persuade her daughter and son-in-law to send young Charles to Eton, which was closer to London, rather than send him to Gordonstoun School in Scotland, where he was eventually educated. According to newsky.com, Prince Philip wanted Charles to follow in his footsteps and attend the same boarding school he did. While Philip thought the location of Gordonstoun in the Scottish Highlands would leave his son free to enjoy his education without any press intrusion, it suited Charles badly. The remoteness was difficult for Charles. He would have preferred to spend time with his family. And at the Queen Mother's funeral in 2002, Prince Charles delivered an emotional tribute. For me, she meant everything, and I dreaded this moment along with, I know, countless others. Somehow I never thought it would come. She seemed gloriously unstoppable, and since I was a child, I adored her. So whenever Elizabeth and Philip would take their Commonwealth trips, Charles would stay with the Queen Mother, and they both had a good sense of humor, and she always encouraged him. And Queen Elizabeth would leave parenting matters up to Philip, and he would at times bully Charles because he wanted to toughen him up. They said it wasn't uncommon for aristocrats of the time to be that way. The royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliam stated, Princess Anne wasn't troubled by it at all, but then she had a different character, and of course was very much her father's daughter, says Fitzwilliams. I do think he had a very different needs, and I think they weren't capable of meeting them. The Queen considered Charles extravagant. In the 2015 documentary, Serving the Royals Inside the Firm, royal butler Paul Burrell claimed to Charles, his pajamas are pressed every morning, his shoelaces are pressed flat with an iron, the bath plug has to be in a certain position, and the water temperature has to be just tepid. According to Burrell, everything had to be done for Charles down to the toothpaste application on his toothbrush, and it has to be precisely 1 inch of toothpaste. According to NikkiSwift.com, Elizabeth was often baffled by Charles's taste. The Queen finds Prince Charles very difficult, Rhodes allegedly told Brenda. He's an extravagant, and she doesn't like that. Even Charles's breakfasts were high maintenance. Former staff chef Graham Newbold told the New York Post, "Wherever the prince goes in the world, the breakfast box goes with him. He has 6 different types of honey, some special mucilix, his dried fruit, and anything that's a bit special and that he's a bit fussy about. Not exactly the Queen's way. So Charles was eager to join in on the formality later. When he got older, Charles was eager to do things that would make his mother proud of him, so he took on more duties. He said he was so glad to be able to do something like that for Mummy. Once the Queen saw Charles and how he handled large charitable contributions, and that he was happy in a relationship with Camilla, they shared several interests, including the love of country, an excellent comic timing, and, as Jonathan Dimbley, biographer, notes, a similar sense of the ridiculous. Vanity Fair also stated as she grew older, the Queen became more expressive about her view of her eldest son. In 2018, she toasted Charles at the 70th birthday party with a speech that showed the love behind her reserved facade. I have seen Charles become a champion of the conservation and the arts, a great charitable leader, a dedicated and respected heir to the throne, to stand comparison by any in history, and a wonderful father, she said. Most of all, sustained by his wife Camilla, he is his own man, passionate and creative. So this toast is to wish a happy birthday to my son, in every respect, a Duchy original. In April 2018, Queen Elizabeth stated it was her sincere wish that Charles be future head of the Commonwealth. Well, King Charles and Queen Elizabeth loved one another without a doubt. Things were different in the times when Charles was growing up. He didn't like being left without his parents, but Queen Elizabeth had to endure the same thing when she was a child. She only knew that when you were king or queen, you had to serve your country first and family was second. So King Charles grew older, and Queen Elizabeth could see that he had a sense of duty in him as he took on more and more roles and the royal family service to the country. The Queen saw Charles get his personal life settled down and saw what a good father he was to his children, and she also saw how Camilla calmed Charles down and how suited they were for each other. Charles respected his mom as he took on more responsibilities. He realized how difficult the job could be and how well his mom handled her responsibilities. At the end of her life, Queen Elizabeth stated, as I said earlier, that Charles should be head of the Commonwealth. To have his mom make that announcement publicly must have made him very proud. God save the king. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be great. If you want to be informed of future videos, just click on the notification bell and you'll be alerted about it. I hope everybody's been having a good day, and tune in again soon for another episode of Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. Thank you. Bye.